Welcome into another brand new edition of the Bleav in Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Desmond Johnson, Jonathan Stewart holding it down for you. Schuyler Callahan is on part paternity leave, part well, there's a whole lot going on. Of course, he's the beat writer for West Virginia Athletics, and they just fired their head coach, their football coach, like yesterday, I think it was. So he is busy between that, the LaMelo Ball injury, because he covers for the Hornets, and of course, covering for the Panthers. He should be back next week. I know I keep saying that, but he should be back next week. We got a loaded show today. We'll talk about the almost win for the Carolina Panthers, falling 26-23 to Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll talk about Bama Bryce, second appearance now in a row of Bama Bryce. Our thoughts on what Bryce Young has been showing us. Chuba Hubbard, Jonathan Brooks made his debut. Well, he was kind of in last week, but he really made his debut this week. Is it the beginning of Double Trouble 2.0 potentially? We've got a member of Double Trouble here that can give us some ideas of what might be able to happen with those two paired together. The most glaring roster need at the moment around the league. Who is your pick for Coach of the Year and why you can actually participate in this? Go to our account on Twitter at Bleav in Panthers. You can find us on Instagram live at Bleav in Carolina Panthers. We are now on Twitch. You can find us there underneath the Tobacco Road Sports Radio Twitch channel, and of course on YouTube at youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Make sure you share the video. You can comment in the comment sections while we're live. It's open mailbag, as it is every Tuesday here on Bleav in Panthers. And we'll talk a bit about the mid fights that were going on at midfield in college football during rivalry week this Saturday. So we got a loaded show. Go ahead and pull up a chair. It's Bleav in Panthers. Let's go ahead and hit it.
Jonathan Stewart gets in, fights for more yardage. Stewart to the mouth of the goal line. Touchdown!
Wow, that's just pure Stewart right there.
That's a big-time run by Jonathan Stewart.
Welcome to Bleav in Carolina Panthers here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Do you believe? Rate and subscribe the show on all major podcast platforms and subscribe to our social media channels on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Video available weekly at youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Do you believe?
And again, welcome into the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Networks, brought to you by Bet Online. I'll get to them in just a bit. Desmond Johnson, Panthers all-time leading rusher Jonathan Stewart in the house. Another almost win by the Carolina Panthers. It feels weird to sit here, Stu, and after a loss feel as good as I do about the direction of the team. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday when we were chatting, that even though they lost the game, both games, the Chiefs game 2 weeks ago and the game last Sunday against the Bucs, kind of ended similarity and made it where you felt like there's some stuff to look forward to in the future. We'll get Stu's initial take on the game here in just a bit. Before we get into that, though, quick word from our sponsors over at Bet Online. Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, even UFC. Head to Bet Online today and don't forget to use the promo code Bleav, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. That is Bet Online. The game starts here. And where we will start today is our Stu's initial take. Panthers fall to the Bucs 26-23. Give us your initial couple of takes from watching this game, Stu, and your takeaways from it here from Sunday.
Man, if you were watching the game Sunday and you're a Panthers fan, you are ecstatic. Being in that building, being in the stadium Sunday, it was a feeling that I haven't had since I retired. And more so knowing that you're in the game, knowing that you have an actual chance to win this game, because Bryce Young, ladies and gentlemen, is playing at a level that we've all anticipated him playing. So kudos to him, mentally staying in it, mentally not letting the naysayers have anything to say about his career. We knew that he was a mentally stable individual, and he proved that. He's proven it throughout the course of time. And I think, if any young athlete out there is watching any player go through any type of adversity, Bryce Young's the one to do it with. And he's done it in a way where he's been up against adversity. He was benched, first round draft pick, number one pick at that, right? And, he had every reason to tank. He had every reason to crawl up into a ball and just go hide. You know what he did? He kept showing up every day to work as if he was the starter, as if he was the number one pick, because he is that. He knows that. He believes it. You got to believe it in your heart first before other people start believing it around you. And his play has been extraordinary. The last 3 weeks has just been progression after progression after progression. And last week, 300 yards passing. You got the stats in front of you?
Yeah, I'm pulling up the box score right now. For Bryce,
passing rating is jumping through the roofs the last 3 weeks, and just continuing to just get better. Last week we saw the Chiefs came in town, and we had a shot at the end of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
This week, division opponent, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This isn't an important game. This potentially gives you easier access to the playoffs. And he did every single thing possible to give his team a chance to win. There was a lot of drop balls, a lot of missed opportunities. We can talk about all the missed opportunities that kind of, had us losing this game. But pointing out the fact that Bryce Young did his job, he showed up to work, and he was accurate. His anticipation was consistent from last week and the weeks before. The future's bright. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, Bryce went out and had himself a day, 26-46, 298 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. Just played great football. And again, we got to let folks know, because yes, we were in the camp that was critical of Bryce Young's play, but it was justified. Like this, what we're seeing, especially the past couple of weeks, is light years away from what we saw weeks 1 and 2 from Bryce Young. Like I think even the most ardent Bryce supporters would admit that weeks 1 and 2, he just looked lost. Like, I'm sorry, he looked lost. Like he did not know what he was doing. And kudos to Dave Canales. Like, who knew that the coach might actually know what he was doing with his players by making them sit for a little bit and let the game slow down and bringing them back in and letting the game come to him. And now you're seeing Bryce hoop pretty much. Like Bryce is out there playing like it's backyard football to me. Like he's not even, it feels like he's not thinking so hard. Like he's not really trying to process every little thing in front of him. He knows where his emergency valve is. He knows where that outlet is. So like he knows the blitz is going to be coming. Whereas before he would have panicked, and maybe a lot of times he would run into the blitz. He'd do that thing where he'd do his little turn and just run right into the defensive tackle. Now, man, he's sitting there and taking it. Like
the game is slowing down, but not only is it slowing down for him, it's slowing down for the players around him. That's getting to know Bryce, getting to understand how he moves in the pocket, getting to understand how he moves out of the pocket. This past week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, the pass to Tommy Tremble down the field, the chemistry, that was all chemistry.
Yes, that's not a design play.
That doesn't happen out the gate, right? We've been wanting to, have these extended plays where he gets out of the pocket and he throws on the run and he throws it with this anticipation. When he threw that ball to Tommy Tremble, it was on a rope, and he was running for his life.
Yeah, so, he called him in stride too. Like, that's people don't understand how hard that is to run to your right, throw it down the right sideline as you're running on a rope, and a guy in stride, like where he didn't have to stop. Like he literally boop, and kept going another 25 yards. That's the kind of stuff I was talking about. And people were like, what are you talking about? I said, I needed to see him make some plays to make me go, oh, like, wow. Yeah. It's like, ooh, okay, now that's different. That was different. The Adam Thielen touchdown pick one. The one that the refs messed up, or the one that took the lead with like 30 seconds left in the game. I don't understand the explanation from the NFL. They basically said they didn't have enough cameras or something.
This is what it is, right? Like this is what should have happened. If the referee that was standing right in front of Thielen, if he was able to see whether or not Thielen secured the catch all the way to the ground without any movement and all that kind of stuff that they'd be looking for. He could have just called touchdown.
And then review it. Yeah.
And then review it.
Yeah.
And then there's no evidence to prove otherwise, right? And so that's, I mean, unfortunately, that's part of this game. There's been so many other calls throughout the course of, football history that has been recorded and has gone in ways which people are just, left scratching their head. And obviously, that's what we love about this game, too, right? We can't have robots out there calling everything because then it would be a slow game.
Right.
So the human aspect, with the referees and whatnot is what makes this game very special because there's probably penalties happening on every play if you really want to be nitpicky. There's really calls that have happened over the course of time where we might not see a Tom Brady carrying the Super Bowl that many times across, the stage. So there's a lot of things that have happened in this, course of time. Unfortunately, the Carolina Panthers had to feel this one and feel it to the core because if it reminds you of anything, it reminds you of Kotri caught it.
Ooh.
Right. So the Thielen catch, when we were going, I was looking at this replay, but going back and forth, I'm like, oh man, this reminds me of the Kotri caught it.
I'm trying to find a good view of that one because I keep seeing the one-handed catch. I'll show that one also. Thielen was balling. Thielen had 99 yards.
Bro, he had at least that's got it. I don't know what's been happening really throughout the league because I'll be watching the Carolina Panthers on Sunday majority of the time. So as far as catches of the year, Adam Thielen has to have that in the bag.
I think I got it right here. So this was I haven't found the one that they did not rule a touchdown. But y'all know every time I was in the back of the end zone. I was always taught the old John Madden rule, like 2 knees equals to 1 foot, like on the ground or whatever. And he had both knees down inside the end zone and control the ball. But neither here nor there. We can't do anything about that. But I'm looking for the this happened during the game. And I was shocked because I didn't know Adam Thielen had this in him. Like
that one hand.
Yeah, let me mute it so we can do this. This is courtesy of NFL on Fox, but this is the Adam Thielen grab in overtime that kind of got them situated for the next play. But look at this.
Yeah,
one hand snag.
One hand snag. But rewind that. Rewind that.
Here, they'll show it up closer in just a bit.
One of the most important things, though, is the pass block made by Chuba Hubbard. He had a mug. Right. He had a linebacker mugged up there in the A gap, and he met him and stepped right in there and made that happen.
Yeah, let me go back to that right there.
And Bryce knows he has the guy that's coming off the edge free, and so as long as that that step up pocket is clear.
See, that doesn't happen last year.
He can make a throw like that.
See, right here, that doesn't happen last year. Right here, Bryce holds that ball and gets sacked. Or Bryce takes off running into the defender and gets sacked because he doesn't see Thielen, like he's anticipating Thielen to break. And right here, because Thielen hasn't even broke out of his route yet. Like he hasn't even gone towards the sideline. He's already throwing it. He wasn't doing that last year. That's what I'm saying. Like people want
it's too we've been harping about the frustrations or whatever about the Panthers not being successful last year. And then this year, the early, slow start and whatnot. And then Bryce, I think we're all learning as football fans. There's no such thing as Superman.
Right.
Right. And you need to, if you're a player out there, you need to have trust. You got to, and if you're able to just throw it to a guy that you trust, and he's going to be open, you can anticipating him being somewhere at all times, especially on this play right here. Him being able to throw that ball with all confidence that Thielen would make a play. I mean, that's all that was. And then here it is right there again. He steps up into the pocket. He sees 1-9 flash across his face.
And
he says, "Oh, I'm going to throw it to this spot, and he's going to catch it."
See, again, we're not nitpicking the Bryce Young lovers that we're all on Bryce, regardless if he did right or wrong or whatever, because we've all been rooting for Bryce to do well. We've been waiting for this day to happen. But I got to go back to this because this was something I was harping on at the end of the year last year that Bryce wasn't doing, that now he's doing, and there's a difference in his play. Watch, he drops back for starters. He wasn't doing this last year. He starts off in the gun, and I've always said he starts off flat foot. He doesn't really survey. Notice the difference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bounces around on his feet. Steps up in the pocket. By stepping into the pocket, he can step up into his throw.
And it
right
allows
here.
the linebackers to have to come up as well, right? And so now you give it an even better, lane to throw the ball.
Because Bryce actually has about 25 yards of open field in front of him. He can take off running if he really wanted to. But he keeps his head up right here. He's still 5 yards away from the original line of scrimmage. Von Thielen streaking across, touchdown. Stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. You're the number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young. Start looking like the number 1 overall pick. That's not too much for me to ask. That's what I kind of expected when they traded up for you. Stuff like this. And the way this happened, 30 seconds left in the game. They had when this drive started, not much time, like a couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 30. And boom.
Yeah, that was a clutch moment.
Yeah, it was a clutch moment.
moment.
That's what I wanted to see. I needed to see clutch moments from him. I needed to see, is this a guy? I don't need a guy where we need to just pile everything on his back and just expect him to beat us every week or beat them every week. But I need a guy that the other guys in the locker room are going to trust and they're going to follow. They're going to actually, they want to be led by him. And I wasn't feeling that with Bryce at the beginning of this year, no matter what the players were saying, because it all sounded hollow. Now it's like, okay, they're really stepping up and defending, this is really Bryce. Bryce has been like this the whole time. We've really believed in him. It's good to see Bama Bryce is what a lot of them, especially the ones that are from the SEC, like Trevin Wallace, he played at Kentucky. So there's a lot of South Carolina players on this team. So when they say Bama Bryce, they're specifically talking about Heisman Trophy winning play of Bryce
guys
Young.
that have played against him, played with him, they all know what he was like when he was playing lights out. But I would say it like this, and then we'll put this to bed as far as the expectations of Bryce and him being all that. Just know that I think the best way to say it is we've been waiting for this moment. And I say it like that because when you say we've been waiting for this moment is because we knew this moment would have potentially have happened. And without the coaching staff, without the players around him, and without his upbringing, his personality, his mindset, this takes a special individual to be able to be where he is right now in that driver's seat. And so I'm just happy that he's a Carolina Panther. And I think everybody just needs to chill and just expect this. Expect that Bryce Young is Bryce Young. And he's gonna have some bad games. He's gonna have some good games. But ultimately, he's Bryce Young. So, let's put that to bed and put that to rest as far as his potential and who he is and who he's not. He's Bryce Young, and he's the number 1 draft pick for the Carolina Panthers, and he's getting the show started now.
I'm glad you said that too, because I was getting to the point where it's I'm tired of nitpicking Bryce Young. He's gotten to a point where I feel like we don't need to nitpick him. He's not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
He is not the issue. He's not the reason why we're losing these games. In fact, he's the reason why we were in it. Look at us, Carolina Panthers fans.
Look at
December, y'all. Look at us. Yep. Look where we are. We're sitting talking about competitive football in December. A month ago, we did not think we was going to be here.
with that being said, what spots on the team do you think that we need some resurgence?
It's a trick question because I know we're running Ejiro Evero's 3-4 defense, and other than the very beginning of Carolina Panthers existence, when you had Lamar Lathan and Kevin Green and Sam Mills and those guys running around in a 3-4, we've never really played well in a 3-4. We've switched here and there a couple of times. I think Rivera switched to a 3-4 the last year he was here. Didn't really work so well. Typically teams run on us when we're in a 3-4 or we don't have the right personnel. And somebody in the comments, I just missed it. Dr. Midnight was like, that interior D-line looks depressing. It does, but you got to kind of temper it with the fact that the $100 million man, Derek Brown's not in there. And that's a huge thing to not have in the middle of your D-line. If we had him and Stevenson in the middle, I think that looks a little different than what it does right now. I will say that I wish they would go back to a 4-3. I think the personnel fits it better, and I don't know if that'll happen going forward. But they need some They do need some more pass rush. Wanham had a good couple of games when he first came back. Clowney got a sack in this game against Tampa, but he's a little long in the tooth. You need some younger pass rushers, probably on the edge, to get it going. The thing I like about the emergence of Bryce Young, though, it makes it where you don't have to go into the draft with a specific need. Like you can do best player available. So whoever we get, wherever it is, I do actually, you know what? There is one thing. Even though we lost the game and I've been feeling great, I do want to address this thing to Panther Nation that they have not really thought about when they do this online.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad. I'm gonna tell you why we mad.
The whole, we played well, but we lost, so it's a double win for us because we're keeping our high draft status or whatever. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Don't do that. That's a mentality we don't need. Like we need.
That's a losing mentality.
Yes, we need one player. We've said it on the show. In the NFL, it's different than the NBA. NBA, yeah, sure. You can manipulate the roster, lose a bunch of games, get that one dude that can change your franchise forever. That LeBron James, I was going to say Zion Williamson, but he can't stay on the floor. But you know what I'm saying? Like that one guy can change everything around. Shaq, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That don't really happen in the NFL. Like you might get a Cam Newton or something like that.
It's the ultimate team sport, man.
Yeah, it don't happen unless you have you and Steve Smith and Greg Olson and the offensive line, and you had Thomas Davis out there. I mean, like there was people already there when Cam got there. It wasn't like Cam just showed up and went.
Yeah. You had Steve Smith to throw to. I mean, he had right. You got a Hall of Famer that you're throwing to your rookie year. And you basically just throw it up and just say, "Hey, go catch it." That's what Smitty did all his career. Is like, yo, just throw it up, man. I'm gonna go get it.
The organization goes out and trades and gets a tight end for you that goes on to be the first tight end to have 3 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with you. Like your offensive line was kind of already there. And like I said before, when Cam got there in 2011, 2010 was a weird year because you were on that team. That team was so injury bug bitten that people kind of forgot the roster. Like there's so many people were hurt on that roster. So when Cam came in, he had some stuff around him to work with. You can't just be like, oh, well, we're gonna get a top 3 pick or whatever and expect it to, because people pick in the top 3 all the time and don't get the right player.
Right,
so they get all this stuff and a player comes in and it's like, oh, well, this player's not even really that good or they don't fit in the system. Don't think about that. Christian McCaffrey was the 8th overall pick the year he got there. There's guys to be had in the first round. The trick is to have somebody like Dan Morgan that recognizes not only talent, but the type of talent he wants for his unit, for what he's building. There has to be a vision. And that's what I'm excited about. I feel like
guys that love football.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying. Like watching yesterday's game, the reason why I said that I haven't seen this type of game, this type of atmosphere in a long time is watching guys on the sideline. What I'd like to do is when I go to those games, I watch them on the sideline. I watch how they come off, to the side and sit on the bench, who they're talking to, what's their demeanor. Are they upset? Are they focused? Are they goofing off? Like this seems like a team that is wholeheartedly in this thing together. They love the game and they love playing for each other. Meaning when you do your job, you're doing it because the guy next to you and what's going on in his life, for his family, for his goals. That's what I'm sensing when I watch this Carolina football team. When you're missing plays, when you're messing up or whatever it is, a bad play happens, how the guys rally around each other, right? Lift each other up, get them out of the funk, whatever it is. But I love the team unity aspect that I'm seeing, and it all comes from the personalities, the types of guys that fit in that locker room. And to your point, Dan Morgan knows what that looks like. He knows what it smells like. Mm-hmm. He knows what it feels like, right? And he knows what it looks like. So these are things that you're going to continue on seeing in the progression and the development of this Carolina, culture. Is a guy that's leading this team and this organization to have some dogs. We're going to keep saying dogs until we're done playing football, right? Because you need dogs that go out there and eat and go hunt for their food. And I love the energy. You know, even DJ Johnson, right? He came in, this game, University of Oregon guy, shout out to the Quack Quack.
Yep.
But he had a fantastic game. He was making plays. There was a span of time where every time he was in the game, he made a play. It was crazy.
That's great.
And so you having guys that are clawing and scratching that compete against each other, that's what you need. I mean, when I was in Germany, I was able to hear Luke and Thomas Davis speak about their competitiveness in football practice and in football games. And it was, I'm going to have more tackles than you this game. So what you going to do about that? That's the type of mentality that you got to have when it comes to playing football. And either you're speaking it out loud, or at least it's a thought that's going on in your head that you're not going to let anyone outplay you, outshine you. And that can be a driving focus as far as how well you end up playing. You got to find that extra push, so to speak, when it comes to these games, especially those close ones.
Yeah, it's crazy too. 'Cause you mentioned TD and Luke. That reminds me of seeing clips of that goes both ways, of seeing Thomas Davis and Cam Newton jawing at each other in practice during those years, where keeping their edges sharp. Nothing where it's they're going to take it off the field. But I've heard both of them say he made me better. In practice by us going at each other like that. That Georgia Auburn SEC on SEC practice jabs back and forth. But you mentioning that was something cool. And this is a good segue because we all know how the game ended. Chuba Hubbard with the fumble gives the ball back to Tampa. Tampa goes down the field 30 yards, kick a field goal, they win the game. Edie Pinheiro, ever since the league deemed him the most accurate kicker in NFL history, I think he's missed 3 kicks or something since then. He missed 2 on Sunday. Antonio Scali here in the open mailbag says Chuba on the bench after the game says everything. He felt like he let his brothers down. And you don't see that in every locker room these days, to echo off of what you were just saying, Stu. I did pull some video from Nick Carboni over at WCNC locker room, Chuba and Edie talking about their days or whatever.
It's just work. I mean, everybody's had my back, lifted me up, supported me. But at the end of the day, I hold myself to a high standard. And, we're trying to change things here, and that's not helping with anything. So I got to be better, like I said, and all I can do is just work. It happened. Just got to grow from it and keep moving forward. Not going to have my head down. I'm just going to keep doing what I always do, and that's work hard.
Honestly, right now I just got to focus on making kicks so I can give the team the best ability to win the game. And, I take full responsibility. Should have made those kicks, and we wouldn't even be put in that position. But, yeah.
I love the fact they both took responsibility immediately after the game. And there is an image on Twitter of Hubbard sitting on the bench long after the team's gone in the locker room. Most of the stadium's emptied out. And he's just still sitting there 30 minutes after the end of overtime or whatever, just kind of looking at the field. That tells me they're invested, that they care. That's what I want to see. Because we really haven't seen that since Rivera, since you guys, and Rivera, because really the Matt Rule era, it kind of felt like, I've always compared him to a used car salesman, but it kind of felt like he was rolling with a used car lot. They were just kind of swapping out cars, and they didn't know exactly what they wanted to sell or how they were going to sell it or what the deal's going to be. But it kind of felt like that the whole time. And then with Frank Wright, we know that situation. So it wasn't there either. This is the first time really since Rivera 2017, probably, where you're okay, they're building something, or there's something here to work with. Whereas before you're kind of hoping that they would start building something, and they never did. It's palatable here. You can feel it in terms of the players' reaction to Canales, the way Canales answers questions. I mentioned in an earlier episode we had this year, I like the fact that I like Dave Canales. I actually like the fact that I like the coach. I like his approach. I like the way he explains things to people, the way he explains things to these players, the way the players respond to him. And you've been able to see it organically grow from week 1 all the way to where we are now in week 13. And a lot of that had to do with him making that tough decision of benching Bryce Young early to not lose his team and to show that, look, no one's above the team. like, what is best for the team for us to win this week? And he's shown that. And I think the team responded off of that, including Bryce, because Bryce could have went a whole other way, like with that benching, and he took it the right way. And now look at him. So it's like all of this is fantastic. So even though they've lost 2 games in the very end, one to the Chiefs and a Pat Mahomes run down the sideline towards the end of regulation, and then to Tampa in overtime because of a fumble. But if you look at it, if they rule Adam Thielen touchdown, an actual touchdown, Edie hits both his field goals, we're not even in that situation probably. We probably win that game by 10. So there's a lot to look forward here. I say that as we're about to welcome in the Philadelphia Eagles into Bank of America. Or are we going
before we move on though? Let me say something about the Chuba. You know, I've been there. You know, as far as fumbling, and letting your team down, that feeling, being on the sideline, it's like that pit in your stomach. You ever had that feeling where you were late getting home and you was riding your bike or you were walking or running to make sure you got home before the street lights came on? That pit in your stomach, ooh, man, my stomach queasy, I'm scared. Like, it's kind of similar to that. When you fumble a ball and you know in your mind you put your team in a situation that kind of gives them an uphill battle to overcome, you don't like that, right? And you know, and there's been countless times, literally. I mean, I feel like there was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer game, or maybe it was a Falcons game, where I fumbled like 2 or 3 times. 2 of them got lost. Just had one of those days where I was just coughing up the rock, and just hoping that the defense just bails me out. Right, that's the only thing you can do, and it's such a hopeless situation, just being on the sideline, knowing that you feel like you let your brothers down. But I'll say this: Chuba strikes me as a guy that cares tremendously. His teammates knows that he cares tremendously. The coaching staff, Panther Nation, the legend community, the NFL sees you, bro. And don't hold your head down. I know you won't. And I can't wait to speak to you in person. But this is just the beginning of something very special. When you have an opportunity to take ownership, this is what it looks like. Good, bad, ugly, all of it, right? You take ownership of all of it. And being able to see, you know, those press conferences that you just showed of Eddie, Adam Thielen, Bryce Young, and just like all the guys that have taken ownership throughout this year when things have not gone well, that's just the beginning. So there's a lot of guys in this league that will sit up there and point fingers or get quiet on you, right? And that's, I just want to say, man, kudos to the coaching staff and to Dan Morgan for getting guys and paying guys to be here for the right reasons.
They want to be here.
This is a season of legitimate growth, and I'm excited that we get to see this finally. You know, growth doesn't always come out with happy endings. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know, out the gate. You know what I'm saying? This season isn't necessarily like the brightest spots, right? But growth is going to hurt. And once you actually see, you know, the fruits of growth, you're like, oh, dang, that's an apple tree. I didn't know what that was. I just thought it was a twig in the ground. But eventually, them apples gonna, gonna show themselves, and that's what we're able to see now, and we're seeing it with Bryce. We know it there to be true with Chuba. We know it there to be true with XL, right? Xavier Legette, you know, having, you know, the injuries that have succumbed this year, given him the platform to really spread his wings. You know, and Coker, the same with him.
We haven't even had Coker the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, Coker has been out the last 2 weeks. Think about that, right? So, but that's left open doors for more, right? Mm-hmm. 83, he's been balling out. You know, guys just stepping up and learning how to step up, being prepared every single game, going in. It doesn't look like they're lost running routes. Right, they know what they're supposed to do. They know where they're supposed to be, and Bryce Young trusts the preparation. And so when you trust the preparation, you can go out there and deliver.
They look like they expect to win now. You know, it's like the past 2 weeks, regardless who they're playing. I mean, they played the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, the two-time defending Super Bowl champs, and coming away from that game, it was like they kind of felt like they were supposed to have won that game. And I felt the same way Sunday throughout the game. It felt like Carolina felt like they were the better team that day, like not necessarily the whole year, but that day they feel like they were the better team. Yes, they had some things to work on. Yes, the wide receivers, XL in particular, you've had a couple drops, man. Like I know people getting on you about him a little bit. It's your rookie year. That I have faith in him. That's going to work itself out. I'm not really worried about that. But there was receivers dropping stuff that they were getting dots, like throwing at them in the breadbasket, like writing the numbers and dropping stuff. I want to say Moore had a couple like that too, where if those are caught, you're talking about Bryce having a 300+ yard day. Like, I mean, it's just the little things, but that's okay because we expect that to happen as they're building this team. I will say this though.
Dr. Midnight wants to talk about Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to him because he's talking about, and I want to talk to you about Brooks too because he actually played pretty well. They kind of unleashed him a little bit on Sunday. I want to say this before I forget. There was a lot of people in the media bashing David Tepper over the past year over things that he may have said or decisions made by the franchise, hires, fires, whatever. We need to give him some flowers because all the narrative I'd been hearing was that he's still involved, he's still tampering, he's still doing this and blah, 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 blah. From what I've understood, he hasn't really been in the way at all. He's literally let the football people do the football decisions, which is what everyone asked him to do, to step aside and let football people run his football team. And he's done that. And we're starting to see results from it. And he may be having one of the better years out of any of the NFL owners. And at first, the Hurricane Helene concert, that him and Nicole Tepper allowed them to use Bank of America Stadium before they donated all the concessions and parking was free and all that stuff and all that money that went, I think it was like $13 million went to Western North Carolina off of that concert, which is fantastic. That wouldn't have happened without the Teppers. And now as I'm scrolling down Twitter, I found out from our friends over at Carolina Blitz and Vashti Hurt that Kendrick Lamar, the Grand National Tour, will make a stop at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte on Saturday, May the 3rd, 2025. Pre-sale tickets. Yeah, buddy. Pre-sale tickets are available on as exclusive Cash App Visa card pre-sale begins on Wednesday, December 4th at 10 a.m. The general sale starts at Friday, December 6th at 10 a.m. at grandnationaltour.com. Kendrick on some other stuff right now, man. Like Kendrick is like destroying not just hip hop, but the industry.
He's the reason why that them kids going to the middle of the field trying to fight.
Yeah, all those fights on Sunday, they've been amped up on Kendrick all week. It was just
that
like
song "Squabble," boy, got them boys wanting to squabble.
I can't, dude, man. I've been playing TV off at I do these coaches shows for high school, like during the week, where we're like at a restaurant or whatever, and the kids and the parents and stuff come in. It's just like a college coaches show, and I've been playing TV off during these like before the show begins, like just kind of like hype music. And like everybody, you see kids, you see 45-year-old parents, you see like the bartender, like everybody. It's just like kind of just going nuts off of it. And my understanding is this might not even be it. There's either a deluxe album coming or another album coming. Like Kendrick just be dropping these clues like in his stuff, like all these Easter eggs or whatever. And I don't know about old boy Drake. It might be over for Drake. Like this is.
It's not over for Drake. Let's not
sued him, or he didn't sue Kendrick. He sued the company for inflating numbers.
He just got it. Drake just has to go camp out for a little bit, enjoy his money, and just relax, man. Just go get in the lab, man. Just go get in the lab. That's what Kendrick been doing. Kendrick been in the lab.
Been in the lab. See, and this is the thing. Dr. Dre said. Dr. Dre's one of my favorite people. Do you ever do like a table of four, like in your mind, like if you could sit down with 3 other people for dinner, like ever, like who would it be? Mine always rotates, and Dr. Dre's always one of them. Like as a producer, I've always loved his ear and what he does. And he said something recently because Snoop's album's about to come out in like a week or two. The Dre executive produced the whole thing. So, when he does that, I don't miss. And he was like, he feels like hip hop's coming back to non-disposable. Like Drake represents disposable music where like he'll put out a project. There'll be like a hot 2 or 3 songs on it. You listen to the whole thing once. You go back and listen to the 2 singles once or twice. And then it's disposable. You don't really go back and listen to the project anymore.
Yeah.
This Kendrick thing is not that. Like this is something where I've been on YouTube like all week just randomly listening to songs over and over. Like the replay value is different. Yeah. And there's a couple of Snoop singles that are out right now where I've gone back and listened to those over and over again.
It goes back to substance.
Yes, it's switching back. It's switching back to what we grew up on where it's like you go back and you listen to an album, and out of 12 cuts, 10 of them are good. Like you can go and listen to the B singles and stuff like that. So I know it's a bit of a sideway, but all y'all been listening to Kendrick anyway, so it don't matter. Y'all know what we're talking about.
And I mean, it correlates to Panther football.
It does.
We are starting to see substance.
I wanna show this as we go into around the league. Your boy Bo Nix has been balling out in Denver, right?
Boy,
and,
yes, he has.
So they showed this on on ESPN. I had to pull it out. It's the quarterback comparison screen where they'll get both the quarterbacks to like kind of like stand there and pose or whatever while their stats are in the middle, whatever. They were playing Cleveland, and Jameis Winston, of course, is the quarterback now in Cleveland with Watson out for the season. And I just want you to just watch Jameis in this in this quarterback comp, this video.
I love it.
You just like it's just gold. It's gold. Like, and he's just having fun with it. Like,
hey, he ain't dropped the ball at all either. Like, I'm back with it with the double whammy.
What's
and
the
then Bo Nix over there sitting there like stale.
Yeah, meanwhile, James with the crap.
But shout out to Bo Nix though, because he's been
balling, man.
He's getting his team in positions to win. But we got to point out the fact that Jameis Winston threw for a team record for the Cleveland Browns.
I've always liked him. I've always liked Jameis Winston. I've actually imagined him as a Panther.
497 yards, 4 touchdowns. The only problem that Jameis got right now is pick sixes, right?
Yeah, he threw what, like 2 of them, 3 of them, 2 of them.
I think I saw 2. So
I saw him saying he needed to pray to the Lord to forgive him for pick sixes or something like that in his press conference. And Jameis is just Jameis is a man.
Hey, look, protect Jameis, keep Jameis in the league for 10 more years, please.
Oh golly, yeah! Please protect Jameis. Please protect Jameis. Like Cleveland would be better suited just keeping Jameis right now. Like, they need a guy like that.
I'm gonna go buy his jersey.
He's hilarious. He is hilarious. Buy his
jersey.
So I wanted to show that. We do need to get to, of course, the Panthers taking on the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. I believe it's a 1:00 kickoff on Fox. The Philadelphia Eagles may be the best team in football. I don't know. We had this conversation last week, who we thought the best team might be in football. Actually, before we get to us versus the Eagles, I did want to do an around the league. Who is your choice for coach of the year right now? Because there's a couple of selections that we could probably pick that would make a lot of sense. But who are you leaning towards?
I mean, let's talk about them first. You have the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell. Obviously, he's turned that whole entire city around. And has made his presence known out the gate. And then you have to look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season yet, ever.
Yep.
Ever.
Yep.
Never.
That's amazing.
And then you have to mention the Los Angeles Chargers with your boy Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Going from college straight to back to the pros to a team that wasn't good last year, but completely flipped them to being somebody is pretty amazing. And then you can say the same for the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton. The Denver Broncos was left hanging, holding a shovel, digging their own grave, basically, right?
Yeah.
And Sean Payton comes along. He had Russell for 1 year, and he made some off-season adjustments, and boom, got themselves a fighting chance to really be, a factor in the playoffs coming up here, right? So you got some really high quality candidates. So I ain't gonna choose. You gonna choose?
I can choose. I was gonna pick Dan Campbell when we were talking about this earlier because you posted it on your X page or whatnot, and I jumped in and said Dan Campbell. As soon as I typed it, I started thinking about it, we kind of picked Detroit to win that division at the beginning of the year. So this isn't exactly a surprise that Detroit is good. Maybe this good, but we kind of thought Detroit was going to be good. I don't know how many people thought Pittsburgh was going to be this good. This year.
I would lean Pittsburgh because there's a lot of juggling, a lot of focus, a lot of like feel, a lot of wisdom, and a lot of guts that Mike Tomlin has had to endure as far as making decisions.
He swapped out Justin Fields for Russell Wilson like week 5 or whatever when they were like 4-1 or something.
Which we called earlier in the offseason when they made that happened where Russell got moved to Pittsburgh. We're like, okay, this could be something good for Russell and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a quarterback that has done this before, and it's a very similar situation. Play defense and let Russell be Russell. That's what he's used to in Seattle.
I didn't want to forget Dr. Midnight's question that I wanted to give you specifically. Can we talk about Brooks and what more can we expect from him the rest of the season as we segue into our mini preview, Panthers Eagles? I should have I might get Jim Zoki a little bit later on in the week for my show to talk a little bit more in depth about Panthers Eagles later in the week. That'd be like around Friday, but right now, talk about what you saw from Jonathan Brooks on Sunday. What more do you expect from him the rest of the season? How do you like the pairing with him and Chuba Hubbard and his run style? The one run he had where he kind of truck stick the DB or whatever, bowled him over and kept going. That's why I was like, okay.
He's a load.
Yeah, he's a load.
Yeah, Jonathan Brooks, his showing against the Buccaneers was everything that we needed to see. We know exactly the type of player he's going to be for us. He's going to be a home run threat for real. The stop and go that he had on that catch, it was like a 19-yard gain, 18-yard gain. The stop and go there was incredible. And when I mean stop and go, literally he stopped and then he went really fast. So his acceleration, his acceleration was just incredible, and it doesn't look like he's doing anything crazy because he's so smooth. He's like such a smooth runner.
I love runners like that, where it's not like just super twitch fast, and it's not like real slow, almost like Marshall Faulk was kind of like that a little bit. Where
Marshall,
smooth, like
Jamal Charles. Charles was very much so like that. Like
no motions wasted. Like it's just
every motion matters. Sure-footed.
Yep.
And then the run that he had where he ran Buddy over on the Panthers sideline. Yeah. And then still trucked. He almost had to truck another guy, but the sideline was there, so the sideline saved the other guy from getting trucked by Jonathan Brooks on one run. So, but his ability, I think, he's starting to figure it out, and he's explosive. Yeah, he has good vision, and he's good at pass blocking. He's been in on the third downs. I don't know if you saw that throughout the course of the game.
Yeah,
they relied on him heavier. In the third down packages. And so that's exciting to see, because when you have third down packages, usually that's a nickel situation, and he's not just a nickel back. He is a running back.
Yeah, he's a 3-down, like old
So
school.
he's a load that's gonna, put nightmares and the fear into the DBs that have to tackle him in the secondary if Bryce wants to dump off the pass to him, which I think needs to happen more often. The checkdowns need to happen a lot more often. Put the ball in the receiver or into the running back's hands in given situations. We'll make that third down a lot easier. Second and 10, check it down if it's not there. Third down and 4, that's a first down in my mind, in my opinion. Yeah. A lot of teams do it.
And there's a difference between Bryce checking down like you just described, like nothing there, just take what you can get and go, to what he was doing earlier where he just took that first. Like that was the very first. There's a huge difference in that. And right now Bryce is able to orchestrate that, whereas before he wasn't able really to do it for whatever reasons. And now he's got another weapon at his disposal. I'm hoping Ja'Tavion Sanders is back for this week because he had him on Sunday. And I realized how big of a loss that was, even though Tommy Tremble balled out.
Yeah, Tommy did his thing.
So yeah, so there's things coming together.
It's always good to have two good. It's always good to have two good tight ends
and two good running backs. And
yeah, you
now
can go 21 set, you can go 22 set, and you can make it real heavy. And then you have a guy like Chuba and Jonathan Brooks.
You know who loves that?
They're going to outrun the heavier lineup, right?
Yep.
So all you got to do is just break a crease.
You know who loves that? Robert Hunt in the offensive line. Like going into practice this week, like, oh, we got something. Like we got something. Like we really can.
I love the pony sets that they had. So pony sets is basically when you have two running backs in the backfield at the same time. I loved how the Buccaneers did that with White and Bucky Irving. I would love to see that. I'm anticipating seeing that happen more often for the Carolina Panthers as well. You have two weapons. You have to make sure you utilize them. No better person that make things happen than a running back, a guy that's used to running the ball. So just putting them in space and just letting them do what they do best is what I hope to see soon and often. Because I think earlier in this game, just like the Chiefs game, the Buccaneers were trying to make us one-dimensional and make Bryce beat them, and Bryce proved that, okay, I can beat you if you want to mess around, find out. Let's do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, but I would love to see the rushing attempts go up despite the men in a box. I know it's hard to run when you have, a bunch of guys lined up in the box. It's not fun. You're going to get, the 1, the 2 yard runs. That doesn't seem like you're getting anywhere, but it wears down defenses, and they don't want that to happen. So it was hard because we played a team that had Vita Vea.
Always a problem. Yeah.
A dog. He's so large. I mean, good Lord. So you can't necessarily run in between the tackles as much as you want to when you have a guy that is being so outrageously, dominant, in the line at the line of scrimmage. So, but I expect to see a lot more of Jonathan Brooks, and this game coming up with the Eagles, you're gonna need some run game.
That brings us to our final part of the day in terms of early preview. Panthers, Eagles, 1:00 kickoff, Fox on Sunday. What's the biggest thing you think the Panthers need to do to? It's almost at a point. I don't think the Panthers won't be competitive. Yes, I know it's the Eagles. It's going to be a daunting task. They're actually playing better as the weeks go along here. They just beat the Ravens. It's not a question anymore of what the Panthers can do to keep up with a team. I think playing the Chiefs and the Bucs the way they have the past couple of weeks kind of proved that they can kind of hang around with anybody. But what do they need to do in your mind to finish with a win against the Eagles? Because that's been the main question the past 2 weeks. How can they finish these games off? Because they've been in positions to win both of the games. And I'm not worried about them falling behind and stuff I was worried about early in the year where like they got to get a lead early and stuff. I would like for them to get a lead early, yes. But the way they're playing right now, they can get punched in the mouth and they'll respond back. And I'm curious to hear, what do you think? Because we've been high on the Eagles all year. We've been super high on Saquon Barkley all year. He's going to be the best running back we see all year. We just gave up 60 yards to Bucky Irvin on Sunday.
Yeah.
What is Saquon about to do? What is he about to do?
If I'm Saquon Barkley, I'm watching film and I'm watching the explosive plays, and I'm getting excited because I know that this team can be had. And that's exactly what you do in preparation when you're watching film. The running backs, we go over pass blitz, what kind of defense they run, what do they like to do, what kind of techniques certain guys run or whatnot. But you definitely look at whether or not there's explosive plays. And so that's what you hate about the games that we've had where guys have been able to showcase that they can run on us, because it's basically letting the league know, hey, this is what you do to be successful. If you want to run the ball, run these plays, right?
Yeah.
So, and they weren't doing anything special. They ran a wham play, and whenever you have a team that runs a wham play, and wham, basically, you have the tight end, right? Tight end motions, and he cracks on the one technique. So when you crack on the one technique, that basically is an A gap run. When you're able to do that successfully, that means you have a really successful running game, meaning these guys are physical. They're moving defensive lines out of the way. And, they ran that play so good. Bucky Irving hit the A gap, didn't have to even make a move in the hole, got to the second level. Those are the types of things that scare me for the Carolina Panthers when it comes to Saquon Barkley. Because the moment that he can get through the line of scrimmage unscathed, that means he already has his first move, his second move, and his third move all lined up, ready to go. And it's not, and I'm saying it like that, not that he actually has it in his mind, but when you have a runner that can get in the zone like that, it's just a thing that's going to happen. The anticipation is going to happen because it's almost like he's been there before. Right. And when you are preparing and watching film throughout a week, you're basically envisioning these things happen, right? Oh, I get to the second level, I might have to give a stiff arm. I give a stiff arm, that means my body's going to be moving in a direction, left or right. So that means I need to be prepared for what's coming, left or right. So it might be a DB, it might be a DN coming off, from the backfield, realizing that I got through the hole. As I stiff arm, I'm slowing down. So I might need to make sure my momentum is going forward a little bit. So here I am, stiff arm. Oh, wait, spin move back to the middle of the field because this DB is to my right. Whatever it is, you're just legitimately playing these things through your head while you're watching film, right? And especially the explosive plays, because you're watching these guys do it. It's like, okay, he could have did this better. Yeah. Oh, he missed that cutback. Oh man, if he would have hit that spin move, he would have been able to break free to the sideline. Oh, if he would have just shimmied him off with his left arm, his off arm, he would have scored. If he would have had the ball switched to the right to the left arm, and because he's running to the left and not in his right arm, he would have his right arm free to stiff arm that guy. Like there's just a lot of things that I'm watching. And if I'm the defense for the Carolina Panthers, you got to bring your lunch pail, baby.
Don't let Saquon go for $160.
Yeah, and they know it's going to be a task. I mean, this is a guy. This isn't just a guy, right?
Do you load the box? Do you load the box with Saquon? Because this is different. Because with the Eagles, you because you got AJ Brown and Devonta Smith.
We have J.C. Horn. We have Michael Jackson. We're asking these guys to cover. And what I'm asking the defensive line to do is to just make an impact. This is a game where we need you to just knuckle up. Our interior, obviously, giving up the amount of yards that we've given up in the run game. We just need you guys just to give us a little bit more. That's all. And when they do drop back and pass, Evero has done a great job sending blitzes. I mean, Josie Jewell out the gate, the first drive, Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield drops that, the snap, which allows, Josie even more time to get to him right away. But, sending blitz packages really help. But I will say, if you send a blitz package and they block you up, that's a home run. Because that's one less guy that's going to be in the secondary to stop Saquon Barkley.
They just throw it. Yeah, you got to get to Jalen before he can get the ball out of his hand and throw it over top of that blitz to the check down, which is probably going to be Barkley, and that's 30 yards, like literally at minimum probably at that point. I'll say same thing. Basically, we said that last week that they had to get Baker off his spot pretty much, and they did that for the most part on Sunday. Don't let him get comfortable. Have him constantly scrambling around. That's what he was doing. Now to Baker Mayfield's credit, he was making plays, and to Baker Mayfield's credit, he did what Baker Mayfield does. Like typically, he's kind of when the odds get stacked or whatnot, he's that kind of guy. Like he plays better as the spotlight gets bigger. Jalen Hurts is kind of like that too. But this year, Jalen Hurts has a whole lot more weapons than he's ever really had as a professional football player. The Eagles might be playing the Eagles are playing the best football in the NFC right now. This is going to be the toughest game the Panthers have.
Their offensive line is just absolutely
their defense
amazing.
Yeah, their defense is probably the best defense in the NFC. Like
their left tackle on offensive line is amazing. His grade is 94.9, bro. 94.2 blocking grade. Now, obviously, you know, you have a running back there that strikes fear into your opponent. So they're, you know, playing on edge probably a little bit, just trying to make sure that they can make a tackle. But 94.9, you know, that is a grade.
That is, yeah.
That boy is passing. He is passing. He is the best student in class.
You shall not pass into this temple or whatever it is. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But
I'm gonna go through this list of players right quick so you can see this. I'm on PFF, FYI. AJ Brown, 91. Jordan Mailata, 94.9, left tackle.
Jeez.
The right tackle. It's not coming up because it's slow. Anyways, right tackle, 84.5. Running back, 83.2.
Saquon.
Jalen Hurts, 75. Left guard, 78. 72. The worst players are Dotson at a 53, tight end 55, according to this grading system.
They use the tight end, yeah.
Now our defense, they have the grades. Our highest graded defensive player right now is Jadeveon Clowney at 65.9.
I wouldn't
So
have
our defense has, you know, some task that they're gonna have to come with their lunch pail, like I said earlier.
They gotta do the gang tackle mentality. You know what I mean? Like basically, I see it in high school. Great team,
swarm
defense. The ball. Everybody, don't expect one guy to do it with that shoulder tackle, Sports Center nonsense. Well, I need 5 dudes on Saquon at all times. Like, get him out of the equation. I think if you can, as we're running out of time and we're up against it, but if you can hold Saquon to 100, no. Let's hold Saquon under 100. We need to hold Saquon Barkley under 100 yards rushing. 100 under 200 yards passing from Jalen Hurts. Like, we just need the defense to just be on it, like from the beginning. Usually we say the offense has to do something first and get the lead and all this other stuff. I'm gonna put it on the defense this time around. The defense needs to show they are out for blood on Sunday. Like, don't let Saquon get off on you. Don't let these wide receivers get off on you. You know they're gonna run RPO with Jalen Hurts and Saquon, which is just trying to picture that coming downhill at me. Understand it's coming. Work on your assignments, work on gap assignments and everything else. Just play defense. Play the defense you've been playing the past 2 weeks against the teams you've been playing against. You understand? You can run with these teams. It's not a situation where you're not outgunned, you're not outmanned. You have enough to do it. You've seen it the past 2 weeks. A win against the Eagles can flip this franchise.
The whole switch. You know? It's a hard task.
Yeah.
And the best way to stop a car or a sports car is to take away the keys.
No, you can't drive. Go sit in the park. It looks pretty, but
the best way to stop a car or a sports car or truck or whatever you want to call Saquon Barkley, the best way to stop him is before he gets going.
He's like a muscle car, like a
but even
Mustang,
then, like he's kind of like he turns into like a motorcycle or like a kid, like Tony Hawk with a skateboard almost. Like, I can't move with my car. Oh, I'll just get out, get my skateboard. I'm out of here.
Now we say all this and watch the Panthers come out and actually have a fantastic defensive out. And Barkley has an off game. Hurts has an off game. This isn't Carolina. This is in Philly, right?
Yeah, this is in Philly.
Yeah, so what's up in Philly? So this will be an away game after they've had 2 games at home. But we got to get out of here. Again, check a little bit later on. It'll be a Bleav in Panthers extra later on in the week. I'm going to probably grab Jim Zoki or someone from the Panthers radio network, and we'll discuss a little bit further about Panthers and Eagles. But this audio will be available on the Bleav podcast network a little bit later on today. The video is already available on Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel at youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio. If you haven't already, you can sign up to be a follower on our Twitch stream where you can get this video My show, the Desmond Johnson Show, is 3 times a week. You can catch that there as well. We actually got George Teague on today, former NFL Pro Bowl safety. George Teague, he'll be on with us here in about 15 minutes, actually. And we'll go a little bit deeper around the NFL. But we got to get out of here. Again, Schuyler Callahan still kind of on paternity leave, dealing with West Virginia. They just fired their head coach, Neil Brown, the head football coach. So he's the beat writer for the Mountaineers. So he's been doing a lot of that. He told us he'll be back next week. So we're assuming Schuyler's going to be back next week. We'll be talking about Panthers versus Eagles as the Panthers get to the last. How many games we got left, Stu? 6? 5? 6?
5.
5. So 5 games. So last little quarter or third stretch here of the season for the Panthers. But I think we can all agree, the Bryce Young nitpicking is over. Like, there's nothing to nitpick. Dude has arrived. Bama Bryce is here. So we don't need to worry about that anymore. We can nitpick the rest of the roster going forward. And B, Panther football is fun. You've mentioned it pretty much every week.
It's fun again, man.
It's fun again. It's fun again to watch. It's fun to watch them, see what they're going to do, and they're having fun. Like it was one thing to see Bryce like smiling after an interception in week 1. It's another thing to see him smiling after an incompletion last Sunday, because I know he's like, oh, that's on me. That's that kind of smile. That's on me. I got you next time. Like, as opposed to just kind of the goofy, oh, I know where you're going to be at type of.
and I'll leave the window open, not the door. I'm gonna leave the window cracked open for all y'all fans out there that got them receipts.
We told y'all the train was leaving.
The train was leaving, but the window is cracked open. So if you able to run really fast while the train's going and be able to get through the window safely, y'all more than welcome.
Dion, this is probably the best way to end it. We got some lunch pail guys. They're gonna pack that bologna sandwich with the Doritos. That sounds pretty good, actually, for
it does.
For a fried bologna sandwich with mustard on it.
Mustard.
Miracle Whip. We out for Jonathan Stewart, for our boy Schuyler Callahan and his newborn. This is Desmond Johnson. You've been listening to the Bleav in Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Keep at it.